There have been claims that the corrosion that is typically seen on solar water heating panels, as documented on my website rustypanels.co.nz, only reduces the performance of the solar panels fractionally, around about $5 per month or per year or whatever they may be asking. Whatever it is, it's pretty ridiculous. Now, I'm going to explain why such claims are ridiculous. Now, let's take my solar water heating system as an example when we had it, before we had it removed off our roof. When it was in pristine condition, it would heat the water to around about 64, 65 degrees at the very maximum at the peak of summer periods. Now, our base water temperature was heated to around about 50 degrees Celsius. So when the solar water heating system was providing insufficient input, a electric booster would maintain the water temperature at 50 degrees Celsius. Now, let's assume that during winter, the temperature that the panels could generate heat to is, say, let's say around about 58, 59 degrees, and that might be for 1 or 2 hours during the day, and maybe for about 4 or so days on average per week during the depths of winter. Now, let's assume, and the reason for that is because the solar panels don't kick into gear until they're around about 6 to 8 degrees above the base temperature. So in our case, for our solar water heating panels to make any contribution to our energy usage in the house, hot water usage, we needed to have the solar water heating panels heating the water to at least around about 56 to 58 degrees. So what you can see is that there, even in the peak of summer, there was only a margin of several degrees below which the panels wouldn't contribute much. So let's assume that over the next year or so, the panels begin to fade, corrode, rust, or whatever it is that they decide to do. And even if there is a reduction of just a few degrees of peak temperature on those panels, the effect can be quite dramatic, especially during winter. And in fact, a loss of just 4 or 5 degrees of performance, which in our case occurred within a matter of 6 or 8 months, can result in the panels barely working at all during the winter months. And that is certainly what we noticed, is that for reasons that were which we determined was the corrosion, the panels almost ceased to work at all during the winter months. And that is simply a simple case that if the peak temperature drops to the point where it doesn't get significantly above that base temperature of, say, 50 degrees Celsius, then the panels just simply won't work. And this is the experience of people around the country. So to make a simple extrapolation of saying, well, if there is a 5% corrosion of the panel surface, then there will be a 5% reduction in energy production, that is incorrect. A 5% corrosion of the surface may in fact translate into a reduction of the peak temperature produced by the panels of several degrees. And if that falls below that critical point above which the panels cease to work, above that base temperature, then you will get no performance whatsoever. And I have certainly seen plenty of examples of solar water heating panels which simply do not work at all during winter and barely work during summer. And it's not because they are not absorbing heat, it is because they're not absorbing sufficient heat over and above that base temperature to begin to contribute. So I hope that explains a little bit more. You can always write to me if you have any comments, if you want to clarify anything. And certainly I think you should be casting a critical eye over the performance of your solar water heating panels if you have some, and if you have any doubts at all about their performance.